Hey folks, how's it going? This is Dominic here from Everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Phish of the Week. This week we're going to take a quick look at the plain text email phish. We have a couple samples that we're going to go through today, and we're going to explore and see why, and how these campaigns work. So let's get started. So our first phish here is really an interesting one. We've actually seen a little spike of those happen last week, where the attacker is asking payroll to go and change direct deposit details. We've seen those happen across employees, but also interestingly enough, the three sample I've popped on the screen here are really also a combination of BEC attempt. Dan, Paul, and Bob are all the CEOs of their respective companies here, and very similarly, this attack here is asking payroll to change their direct deposit information. When we look at the message themselves, there's nothing really interesting in them. It's just a plain text request, which seems reasonable. There's anything about the messages is legitimate in terms of the sender authentication component of that. So it's really up to the payroll administrator to kind of really pay attention and make sure that it's really Dan, Paul, and Bob that is sending that request in. Let's take a look at the second example. The second example here is the Bitcoin scam one. We spoke about this one a few weeks ago. We do have a recording of the Phish of the Week that feel free to review as well. Here, very similarly, the attacker here, is attempting to scare you in saying that I've compromised your computer. I know that you're going to a questionable website, and you should pay me. If not, I will leak all this information out. Clearly here, the messages themselves don't have much information in terms of what's detectable. There's no files, there's no links. It's really a plain text. They don't really expect a response back. They've already provided you their Bitcoin wallet information. So it's really up to you to see if you really believe these guys and, pay them or not. So very interesting campaign here. So you may, if you look at the sample in the front here, you may say, hey, well, there's a link in there. Well, if you actually look at the link here, that's actually just a Facebook link, entirely benign. Again, these attackers are attempting to make their emails look a little bit more legitimate. So how do these work? So as we spoke earlier, these messages actually don't contain a lot of information for a traditional security gateway to be able to detect, right? So those plain text messages are very hard to identify. There's no attachments, there's no URLs to scan. And like I said, on some of these samples, the attackers is leveraging trusted infrastructure that they've compromised. So effectively sending out of the Gmails or the Hotmails of the world, or even compromising a partner of yours to send these emails out, in an attempt to beat SPF, DKIM, and DMARC, all these email authentication mechanisms. So here, why it continues to work is that different approaches to that. One is that these emails have a little variation in all of them, which makes it very difficult for traditional engines to be able to detect, right? So if the signatures or the anti-spam or the anti-malware signatures are too broad, then you're going to catch, you'll have a higher false positive rate. So if it's too tight, then you're going to miss a lot. And these are, detections that we've made behind existing products. And also, to add another degree of difficulty here, the BEC tactics makes it even harder to detect. So really, those attackers are getting a bit more sophisticated here. Not only that, they're combining techniques, but also, from like I said earlier, the quality of the English in these emails is getting a little bit better, which in the past was, fairly easy to detect typos and stuff like that. So how can we stay ahead of these phishing campaigns? Well, at Area 1 here, we take different approaches to detecting phishing campaigns or these phishing attacks. So our core technology really relies on our ability to detect these campaigns before they are weaponized, looking at compromised infrastructure, understanding the campaigns, understanding the tactics the attackers are setting up, and then fitting that data through our crawler so we can determine where else do we see these attacks. In addition to that, we have some pretty sophisticated advanced detection technologies that we've deployed, right? Again, going beyond email authentication, because we know that has its own flaws, but by being able to get this very large corpus of data allows us to create models that we can train our AI detections with. Additionally to that, we do have natural language processing detections built in that allows us to understand the context of these emails, understand what these emails are about, such that we can have more accurate detections. And finally, we do take account a lot of the sender reputation here, um, in combination with all these different technologies and detection models that we've added, allows us to have a high degree of efficacy and accuracy. So hope this was informational for you guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can visit us at area1security.com, or you can drop us an email at demo@area1security.com. If you're on YouTube, please feel free to leave a comment below, and we'll catch you next week. Have a good one.